Hello Year 7, hope you're all well. Today we're going to be carrying on with our lesson of Greek theatre. So the first task you need to do is to finish off any work that you didn't get the chance to complete last lesson. The last lesson had a lot of work in it, so now is the time for you to spend time to finish that off. So just a bit of a recap of what the work was. The first thing you'd need to do is to write down the different vocal skills and verbal communication skills we went through. So you need to make sure you write the definitions down, so the key words of the vocal skills and also the definition. You can write this down either as a poster, a mind map, or just as a list, and you can make it quite colourful to make it stand out for you if you want. Then you need to make sure that you have written down the definition of choral speech. So it's a group of people narrating as an ensemble, either at the same time or taking sections of a speech to speak individually, but as a group. So make sure you write that definition down. Then what you'd need to do is to make sure that you've watched the example of the Greek chorus that was in the previous lesson. So you follow that YouTube link and you watch the video. After you've watched the video, I would like you to write down the two answers to these two questions. So you need to write down what vocal skills from the previous slide, as in this slide, that you saw the actors using. So all you have to do to answer that question is to go back and think, I think I saw that they used pause, or I saw that they used volume, and then you put that as your answer. But you need to write down some of the ones that you've identified. And then I'd like you to answer, how does the way that they use their voices change the mood of the performance? So think about your own perspective of when you watched the performance. How did it make you feel when watching it, and what mood did it give off? Okay, so you need to make sure you answer those two questions. Then you need to make sure you finish off the put into practice task. So you're reading through the choral speech, you write down on each line a different vocal skill that we have just learnt. And then you write down in each line how many actors you would want to say the line. If you're doing this on paper, write the number on the line, and then you can add the vocal technique and the number of actors to the side of that to make it easier. So once you have done that, you are then going to move on to the second task, which is learning the story about Antigone. So, what is the purpose of this lesson? So the purpose of this lesson is to identify elements of different performance styles and genres. So storytelling has earned its place as the most important tradition in human possess. The most important reason for this is that they have been given, being that every story contains a lesson to instruct the audience. Stories teach us to love, to forgive others, and just to strive for better than we have. So think about storytelling and how you could use storytelling in everyday life. So for example, think of if you wanted to have a career as a drama therapist. You would have to help people in therapy using different drama techniques, so you could do a variety of different stories and storytelling in it. Same with a play therapist. You teach students, or you teach people that are a lot younger, so you would be using a lot of stories and able to help them in their processes of the therapy. So have a look through these, and these are your lesson outcomes. So have a look and think about what level you think you are currently at. Are you beginning? Are you working towards? Are you secure? Or are you mastered? So pause the video here and just have a look at those and think about which one you are fitting into at the moment. So let's first off read the story of Antigone. Antigone is a Greek play that we are going to be looking at in more detail. So let's read through the story together. Antigone's father, the king, died. Her brother Haemon became the king. When the second brother Polynices heard this news, he raised an army and led them to the city as he wanted to be king. The battle ends with the defeat of the invading army, but both brothers are dead and killed by each other's hand. Creon, Antigone's uncle, had to assume power. He declares that as he was the protector of the city, only one of the brothers will be properly buried. As one brother attacked the city, he'll be left unburied on the battlefield. Antigone decides she must disobey, as she believes both brothers deserve a proper burial. She performs a ceremonial burial, a simple sprinkling of dust over the body. She is caught by the guards and is taken before Creon, who decides that she will herself be buried by being sealed in a cave. Creon is informed the gods are angry with his choice, and he finally decides to free Antigone. When the cave is opened to retrieve Antigone, she has already hung herself. Upon his return to the palace, Creon also learns that his wife killed herself too, when she learned what had happened. Thus, the end of the play, Creon is ruler over an orderly city, but he has lost everything. So think about when we first looked at Greek theatre. There are a lot of different styles of plays. There was comedy, there was tragedy, and there was satire. Now, judging by the story, you could probably tell that this is more of a tragedy. It's got a tragedy theme, it's got death in it, it's got people being upset. Okay, so it fits into that theme, so it can be quite sad for the audience. So let's look at the 5 key points of the story. So, point number 1. Father dies, brother, who's called Haemon, becomes king. Polynices is jealous and raises an army to take to the city. So that is point number 1. Point number 2. Battle and brothers die. Creon becomes king. So they have a battle and the brothers die and then Creon becomes the king. Number 3. Creon says that Polynices should not be buried but Haemon should. Antigone decides to go to the battlefield and perform a ceremonial burial. So that's point number 3. Point number 4. The guards see her on the battlefield and lock her away in a cave. The gods are not happy with Creon's decision and he tries to let her out, but she has already died. And point number 5. Creon goes back to his kingdom with his guards, but he is very upset and returns to his wife, has left him, and is left. He returns to his wife, has left him, to see that his wife has left him, and he is left with nothing but his kingdom. So those are the 5 main important points of the Antigone story. Now pause here, read through these again, and if you want to, spend the time just to reread the story. So you can go back to my video of me reading it so we can read through it together, but just read it again, just so you are aware of what happens in the story. Now what I would like you to do is do a storyboard task. So I would like you to create a storyboard where you have a picture of each of the 5 key points of the play that we just discussed here. So you can either draw pictures or take some from the internet to show what happens in each section. So it's completely up to you. If you're a very confident drawer, I'm very happy with you drawing them. But if you prefer taking pictures from the internet to help you, that is fine as well. But they should be able to show what happens in these scenes. So think about the different characters, the different situations. Also think about what we have learnt in drama when we're performing, so facial expressions and body language. So for instance, if you're trying to find a picture for Creon for point number 5, it says that he is upset. So make sure you pick a picture that actually shows that somebody is upset, so it makes it a bit more obvious. So there is a storyboard template attached to the assignment that you could use, or you could do it on a Word document, you could do it on a PowerPoint, so you could have a different slide for each scene, or you could do it on paper. It's up to you. Okay, so be quite creative with this. It might take some time to do it, but just make sure that you do at least those 5 sections and make it quite obvious for you. This is going to be to help you understand the story a lot more. And then once you have done that, you now need to pin mark your work. Now pin marking is really important because it's a form of self-assessment, and for you to be able to do a self-assessment, it means that you're able to know what you need to improve on later. So after completing your storyboard, you need to pin mark your work by answering the questions below. Use the picture of the lesson outcomes to help you decide what level you are currently at. So the first one is, I think the most positive thing about my work is. So write down what you think is good and positive about your work so far. What do you think you need to improve on? So write down what you think you need to improve on in drama currently. Is it to do your research more? Is it to build your confidence? Is it to listen more and be more engaged? And the next steps you will take to improve your work. So if you say, I need to improve on my vocal skills, you then need to think about what you're going to do to help you improve on it. Is it practicing? Is it writing down all the different skills and becoming more familiar with it? So think about that. And the level you would give your work currently. So you could either give it beginning, working towards secure, or mastered. So 1, 2, 3 or 4. And if you look at the picture there, it will be able to help you with giving you a bit of an idea of what level to give yourself. Okay? So that is the lesson for today. Everything you will need is on the assignment, and if you have any questions, please make sure to ask either me or Miss Etches or whoever's teaching you that lesson for a bit more detail. Okay? Have a good day.